Hello, everybody. Welcome to Video Game Movie Anatomy. Tonight, we're going to talk about 2005. That's a weird way to put it. 2005's Doom, starring Rock the Dwayne Johnson and Karl Urban. We also got our friends from Action Movie Anatomy here to break it all down, so stick with us. We're going to be talking about it.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews.
Yeah.
Popcorn Talk.
Music's going to be pretty loud.
Movie. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Video Game Movie Anatomy.
Welcome, everybody, to Doom. We're going to be talking about Doom on Video Game Movie Anatomy. Welcome to the show. Let's just get right into it. I am one of your hosts, and it's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. Joined, as always, by our wonderful panel of esteemed journalists. Well, Stacey, you two for sure. Me, I don't know. Nope. I'm drinking Mountain Dew in a coffee cup. I'm not doing pretty well for myself.
Mountain Dew?
It's exactly what it is. We have Stacey Shuttleworth.
You can find me on Twitter at Ye Old Nerd, or on Twitter and across the web at Nerds Doing Stuff, where I am a nerd doing stuff.
We got Mr. Patrick Dees.
Hello, you can find me at P to the D's on Twitter.
Jesus.
I know.
That's pretty simple, huh?
Yeah.
They're just so much better than ours.
Oh, come on.
Our Twitter names are not cool.
Is there an underscore or
P to the D's?
P to the D's. It's gangsta,
Nerds
right?
doing Mark B. I'm at Andrew Ghai, so that's my fucking name.
Though.
No, I forgot
on the couch, joining us is our friends from Action Movie Anatomy, Mr. Andrew Ghai and Mr. Ben Bateman.
What's up? Where am I looking? Oh, I'm up here.
Yeah, you guys are
Hey guys. What's up?
You haven't been on the guest couch yet.
I don't know this couch. Ben, we've done this before. It's new territory for me.
You guys did a watch along like 2 weeks ago.
This is my first time. Be gentle.
Okay.
We blacked out. We don't remember that experience.
Fair play. So we're talking 2005's Doom. Let's start with our wonderful guest. What is your history with the game franchise Doom?
I played, I think a pretty good amount of Doom 2. I don't really remember, to be perfectly honest with you. I, definitely remember some monsters. The graphics weren't that good. I was engaged. I played a lot of it.
Sure.
I think it was the second one, though. I recognized, quite a bit of the stuff in the movie. Doom was, one of those games I think I played a decent amount as a kid. I didn't play that many computer games, but this was definitely one.
It was kind of that thing, though. Everybody played a little bit of it, right? Everybody, even if you weren't, a big gamer, you were playing Doom.
Oh, of course, you had to.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say you were engaged? You didn't tell me?
What?
Congratulations.
Engaged in the game?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually
to
almost...
the pinky demon.
I almost found myself saying I played a lot of Doom. I was engorged, and then
Okay,
I was
cool.
let's
Nope.
Cut.
Was not
As
that.
a young man, I was engorged by demons. How about you, Andrew?
Honestly, man, I was a huge nerd my whole life. I used to professionally play Counter-Strike and World of Warcraft. So growing up, I was playing Doom, Duke Nukem. That was my jam.
Uh-huh.
Quake.
That was also Quake.
Yeah,
It was
Quake.
also 20 years ago almost.
Sure.
So as much as I did play them, I don't remember a lot about it. I remember the sound effects and even some of the doors opening. I even wrote down when I was watching the movie last night. I was like, was that door opening from the game?
Right.
And I was like, probably not.
100% it was.
Really?
It absolutely
Really?
was.
Okay,
That's one of my
thank
favorite
God.
parts. That noise is so iconic, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that
Yeah.
no matter what you forget, I couldn't tell you anything about level design or anything
Nothing.
from the Doom, but that noise, all of the noise, the shotgun at the time,
The
guaranteed.
chainsaw.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
I love it. I'm so glad that you knew that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
damn
why you're
straight.
here.
That's why you got the couch.
That's why I said Steve, damn it. How about y'all? Patrick, I know you've got a long history with the game as well.
So I was, totally obsessed with Doom when it came. And literally that shareware version, I was playing kind of day one. And I also, and not proud of this fact, I was convinced I was going to make a small fortune selling maps of Doom, right? I was graphing this, my little nerd, little nerd Dees with his graph paper, okay, go one space. Okay, I got it. And I was mapping secrets and convinced I was going to go to market trying to sell it. I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur, but obsessed with this. It was the first, Doom was one of those games that also had me get more into technology, right? I figured out how to modem to modem, right? So I'd play with the kids up my street, right? Mom, don't pick up the phone, right? I was playing with my friends and just obsessed with kind of deathmatch and co-op from an early age. So this IP holds a lot of holds a special place in my heart.
It's one of those franchises that everybody knows. Like you said,
Totally.
everybody played a little bit of it.
It's a cultural touchstone, right? Everybody knows of Doom, even if you're not a gamer. If you know, So the idea of people had to make a movie of this. I'm sure just the mantra on set was just don't screw it up. Just don't.
Well, when we get into production
don't
development,
screw it up.
the producer spent a lot of time making sure that there were staples that had to be included in the movie.
Okay.
So
Game.
not acting.
We're not worried about
Zero
that.
story?
Don't worry.
Yeah, zero story, no acting.
Crushed it.
if you put Karl Urban's head on the bottom of the screen, just kind of looking left and right,
Right.
like Doom Guy did,
Perfect.
probably about
would've
just
loved
as
it.
much. Stacey, what about you?
So Doom was a little bit before I started picking, getting on the mouse myself and playing
Sure.
games. However,
Get on the mouse.
getting
Like
on
it.
the mouse, whatever.
Mouse jockey.
Played it with my dad all the time. my sister and I would go and watch him play computer games. So we'd kind of play them together that way.
Sure.
And that was one of the games that we spent a long
great.
time playing.
Doom, you know that family game, Doom.
No,
When
no,
you
my-
chainsaw
yeah, right.
it, just, you know.
My dad
whole
and I too,
family together.
We played a lot of this. We played a lot of Descent. It was just like
I love Descent.
It's just one of those
Unreal
games.
Tournament was the first game I
Unreal
ever
Tournament.
played
Yes.
on LAN.
Yeah, you did.
What about
Yeah,
like
you did.
Diablo 2 back
Oh, of
then?
course.
That was
For
a thing,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
how proactive you
StarCraft.
were when you played video games as a kid. You're like, I'm gonna be entrepreneur. I'm gonna make now. I was like, how long can I stay awake?
You were
That's how
always
it passed
It's like
out.
slowly
I'm always
fading
looking
out.
for an angle. I gotta make some money here. But yeah, no, I like
found
obsessed.
it.
And I like also like that led to other games. And like I'm still like a huge gamer and still talking about games on the reg. And I credit a lot of that to Doom. I played a lot of Duke Nukem. Like it's been, like I said, super formative game.
You probably
ass.
had like just watched The Rock. You saw Mason map Alcatraz. You were like, I'm gonna do the same.
I can do
thing.
this. I can sell this.
He
Got
spent
it.
2 days in the dark.
Can't have you guys on any show without mentioning The Rock. Of course. So the fun part about that is this movie isn't really that much about classic Doom. It's
No.
essentially based off of Doom 3. The breakdown is this. Space Marines are sent to investigate strange events at a research facility on Mars, but find themselves at the mercy of genetically enhanced killing machines.
I'm in the elevator. You pitch that to me. I'm an executive. Done.
It
Let's
sounds
make
all
it.
right. Green
Dwayne The
light.
Rock Johnson.
Fast track that shit.
$60
right?
million.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Get it
Done.
done.
Yeah.
Quick, easy.
I agree.
Brilliant.
Get your ass to Mars.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and you guys can appreciate this, did you know there was going to be a 1999 version of Doom starring Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, but that's
No.
There was a violent incident between two brothers and a chainsaw that made studios go, you know what, let's put Doom on the shelf for a little while.
wow.
Yeah.
But we almost had his ass back on Mars.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Who hasn't chainsawed their brother? I mean,
A little bit. Just a little bit.
We've all been there.
99 though is a tough year for Schwartz. He starts to kind of get past. He starts to
That
kind of
end
get
of
past.
days territory?
Yes, yes, exactly.
It's
what it
like
is.
right before Collateral Damage.
Exactly. Because
Oh.
it's even a couple years past Eraser. Collateral Damage is 03, but like 99, you're getting into that like he's just like not quite as convincing as like as a Marine anymore.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, 86 is Predator, and that's essentially the Arnold you really want. From
Yeah,
him.
that's
Peak
peak.
Arnold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about Doom 3 was it changed it made it more kind of zombie-like than demon-like, which
Yeah.
is a little bit unfortunate. But as a result, we got a little bit less of a daring Doom in this movie as a result. So let's go from here to what we call our speed run. It's essentially a quick line about the movie that you would see like on the back of a box of like a. You're in the game store, you see a quick box quote. I'm freaking out because I have to look between
Yeah, right.
people.
Do I make you nervous, Mark?
And I'm also trying not to say action movie tagline,
Right.
which is essentially what I stole this from. So an example is it's a definitive line. For example, Mortal Kombat has a cheesy script but nails the spirit of the game. We say speed run. Y'all have a problem usually.
We're
with
trying to
giving,
I
outlength
was
each
really
other for
careful
sure.
this week.
You were? Okay, so why
Marathon, not a
It's
sprint.
2 words.
This feels.
One day I will be there.
God damn it.
This
That's
feels
what's
like-
up.
I came in with like a paragraph.
You know, that
like
one
a,
works today.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start over here and then we'll head over to you guys. What do you have for your speed runs?
Fire away.
All right, so fashioned after a popular first-person shooter of the same name and encompassing pretty much every sci-fi cliche in the book, Doom is as much fun as it is predictable. And it is extremely predictable.
Ooh,
That's pretty good. Sick burn there. All right.
2005. What's up, Patrick?
All right, the Doom movie is a sad attempt at adapting the game phenomenon of the same name. It's a dreadful, soulless piece of cinema. It's a D-grade dumpster fire that's more of a ripoff of Alien than an attempt to tell a compelling story. It's a disservice to both moviegoers and fans of the IP. The real downside is that you can't use cheat codes to get to the end of the film.
Wow.
Wow.
I like the end of that.
Scathing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a
Scathing.
well-deserved paragraph.
Let's just
Thank
cut
you. Yeah.
that last line and make it the thing. Gentlemen?
Yeah.
This is Event Horizon meets Predator, but they don't utilize the most charismatic part of the movie as the hero. They make him the villain in the end, so it's a failure.
Funny story about that. Rock was approached to be the lead character, to be Reaper, but he thought Sarge was more interesting.
I mean, it is
Sarge
more
is
interesting,
more interesting,
but
yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can't even begin to compare the actors. You essentially have the most charismatic action star of the last 15 years, and you're putting him in a movie that is just about like killing demons and going through the dark.
Right.
And you're not going to make him the most badass, awesome part of the movie, and then you're going to make him. That's why. So yeah, Event
Sure,
Horizon
no, it
meets
totally makes
Predator,
sense.
Lacking the most charismatic thing they had available to them.
The bullocks. Andrew?
This is one of those moments where you're really happy that you can't hit continue when you keep playing. You don't want, like, when this movie turns on, I would like pause it and go in the other room and come back, and I was like, fuck, you're still here?
Yep.
You didn't reset yet? Like, I gotta all right, fine, continue. Let's keep going. But honestly, like, the last 20 minutes of this movie is pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like as much as we talk shit about it, like I think we can cuss on this
You
show.
can,
We cuss
totally.
on my show.
Yeah.
Is that the last little bit is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has one
Awesome.
iconic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has,
the first
it
person.
has one really good
Yeah, yeah.
sequence,
Yeah.
and that's what
Sure.
the movie should have been about. So
Yeah, it's when
Agreed.
Rosamund Pike and they're having that like heartfelt
in
talk.
the moment where
And
Duke's
Duke?
talking to her,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
no, I
was
totally
it.
That's what
agree.
you're talking about, right?
Should-
Yeah, of course.
Favorite part of the movie.
And he says something about large objects that are secret.
Single tear just rolled down my face. Yeah.
The most unapologetic game adaptation yet, but I wish that it would just go to hell.
I thought you were going to say, I wish it would just
Oh.
apologize.
No.
Expecting. That's what it was.
Arguably a
little
better line.
misdirection.
But the one thing that I think could have flipped this movie at least a little bit around was if they actually utilized hell. They made it too much
Sure.
about aliens
Right.
and
Yes.
mutation, where if you made it demons and we saw floating balls with horns and one
Yeah.
eye, then it
Totally
might
that.
bring you to another world.
For sure.
What's the deal with it being about zombies? I don't get what
That was Doom 3.
Yeah.
That was Doom 3.
Yeah, it was.
Got it.
They took the idea from Doom 3. There's a little bit of hell in it,
Okay.
which is what I was hoping for at the end of this. So like, all of a sudden, the actual portal opens up and Carl Urban's in hell. But they were like, hopefully we can do a sequel, but they should have just left it all out there.
Yeah,
'Cause-
instead they just kind of referenced hell a couple of times and
Here-
thought that was good enough.
Here's basically like my this is like my just like memory of Doom is like there's this sequence where you're just like kind of out in the open, you're having to cross some big bridge. There are these big like risen pillars and platforms
Yep.
that have crazy looking monsters on them. And you've got a sweet gun and you're getting hit and you got it, but there's monsters everywhere. But you're out in a big open space, which is like the surface. Maybe that's just Doom 2. I don't know if that's what that is, but I remember that more than anything else
Yeah.
in Doom. And there's none of that in this movie.
No.
They're never out in the open, and you just
No.
see lots of monsters
You
running
just look
around.
outside. They're just literally looking out the window at the more interesting part of the planet.
Yeah.
Like when they
Terrible.
finally
We
brought the
can't go there.
chainsaw in, which is one of the sweetest parts about the game.
Yeah.
Totally.
It sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. Like I wanted to see him like jam it into that like
Totally.
the wheelchair
Yeah,
guy.
totally.
Yeah.
So just like I'm gonna cut you in half and I'm gonna leave you alone.
Very cleanly
Yeah.
cut off. Yeah, for sure. Like, but it was very Doom 3, right? So Doom 3, like, it was all about the lighting, right? In the ambience, it was half like survival.
It was a horror movie. Yeah, it was a horror
for
game.
sure. Was there a lighting problem in this movie? Was this just my setup? Because
It was so dark.
It was so
It was really
dark.
dark.
Yeah, they didn't hire a lighting guy.
Like, yeah, no, totally. They're like,
I
yeah.
couldn't see anything.
So when I
Then
hit
turned up
F
the
for the
brightness on the
flashlight.
Yeah,
TV. I
the-
thought it was me.
No, yeah, it's right. Okay,
Super dark.
All right.
So let's go on from here to what we call the controller toss moment. That's when you're watching the film and you silently or loudly have the "You have got to be kidding me!" And you
Yes.
throw your controller across the room.
Is this like a "You've got to be kidding me"? Like a "This is ridiculous," or like a, is this closer to like a "This is awesome"?
Most of the time, it's for a terrible moment.
Okay.
But there have been times when we use it positively.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. Mine was the chainsaw tease. When
Right.
they're going through the mining thing, they flashed the light in the chainsaws, and I was like, yes!
There it
We're
is.
gonna get some! Awesome. Fantastic. And my negative one is how many times they said the word game. Like, it's not a game anymore. Any video game adaptation has to have the line, well, it's no game anymore.
You know,
We're not playing a game here.
I've
and it
started
just can't
tuning
stand
that
it.
line out.
you can't even hear it
dead
anymore. It's
noise.
just
It's
wallpaper.
Gone. It just goes silent for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, no.
How about everybody? Who wants to go first with these?
So here's how I'm gonna use mine. So it's basically
I'll go ahead and jump
Yeah,
in.
you gotta watch it.
when the Rock says the line, he says, Nothing gets back until everything on this planet is dead. We're going in hot." And you're like, okay, they're gonna get down to
You're
business
on
now.
board, yeah.
Now they're gonna
Yeah.
kill everything.
Fair enough.
And it made me think. So I had my like that was like kind of my fuck yeah moment a little bit. But then I also thought about it and I was like, the Rock that says the line in Fast 5 when he's talking to the one cop and he's like, "Stay the fuck out of my way," and then he goes about his business. That's like when the Rock turned into like the Rock we know now, the sweet action star.
Yeah.
who's, like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like amazing. That's the first time I remember watching and being like, this guy just has it.
Yep.
He didn't have it back then yet. So he says that line and I was like, you almost have it. And they should have known that what they had with you, they should have like written you that way, but they just weren't doing it
I
yet.
just don't think he had the confidence yet that he has now.
Yeah, that might be what it is.
This is his first starring role after Scorpion King. I don't count Scorpion King, but
You just don't count it.
all.
He looks like a human being too. Was that a shock to you guys? It's been a minute since I've seen The
Absolutely.
Rock look like a normal human being as opposed to this roided
Goliath.
freak that he is now. I mean, he's superhuman.
He's
now.
really little in this movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
But
Which
he looks-
he's actually not.
No, he's bigger
Yeah.
than all of us combined,
Yeah.
right? But he's still comparatively like a normal looking. Like, oh yeah, that's possible if you lift a lot of weights. Right now, it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my original controller toss moment, was when he's sitting there talking and you see the bear shoot, like his really bad Semper Fi tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Totally.
I'm like, Jesus, dude, you're so small.
Yeah.
That was my original one, but the one that took over was when the dude is down in the electrical like prison chamber fighting that gigantic monster.
The Hell Knight.
And he somehow stays alive through this whole thing, and he's like they're duking it out, right? And then he pins him. The Hell Knight pins him against the wall, and he's getting shocked. And there's no moment of like, I'm gonna die. He's getting pinned against the wall. And he's like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my knife out, stab you. I'm gonna do a front flip over you,
Yeah.
and then break this pillar and jam it into you and climb out. Right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, cool. All right, that's cool.
And there was
totally
no
believable, right?
There was no current running through him into
No.
the knife to
Right.
shock
Of course
the dude.
not.
No.
He's got rubber boots on. He's grounded.
That's what made what made no sense.
That tracks. That tracks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But my moment of tossing the controller was like, the first was the flip, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
then when he's climbing up the chain, and all the thing does is yank on the chain, and then the guy dies.
Right.
It was a total bummer.
It
to
wasn't
me.
even the
Yeah.
landing. It was just, oh, surprise, and
Yeah,
I'm dead.
I'm
It
dead.
was disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm excited
Very-
for recast on that character. We both have real good
Yeah.
ones.
Oh, all right.
Really
I
good.
literally was laying in bed. I got up and I grabbed my PS3 controller and threw it across the room. I was so
Just
pissed.
because. Yeah, just because. How about y'all? Controller toss moments.
So it's a nitpicky one and it's ridiculous, but it's like literally in the first like 2 minutes of the movie, right? You know when they're psyched for their downtime, like yeah, we're gonna get
Yeah.
some R&R or whatever. And I don't remember like who did it, but somebody's playing the little handheld
It's
video
Duke.
game.
Yeah, Duke's playing like
Oh,
a
so
really.
Duke's playing the game. That guy's
Yeah.
never played a video game in his entire life. Like he's just jamming buttons,
like holding it like this.
You're like he's not looking. And he's like, I'm killing it, bro. It was like you're not like no. It was rough, and I'm like, all right, so just buckle up. I know what I'm in for this entire movie. That and like they're straight up just batting oranges. Like, in what scenario is that okay? Even amongst badasses, like nobody's gonna be just cool with oranges flying across the room. Something that was like.
for R&R.
But something positive that does come out of that situation is the opportunity for the one guy to be a badass and catch the orange.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And he's like, I'm tired of your fiddle. And then he like eats the orange. He doesn't even peel it. He bites it
Oh,
to
straight
peel
in.
it.
Goat was a badass.
You should catch
Yes.
like, this isn't going to come into play later. This doesn't matter. I'm going to die. Like, that's what you should have said.
It reminded me of the scene in Ronin when the guy knocks the coffee mug off the table and the one guy's reading the newspaper and he like catches it. And he's like, good reflexes. And he's like, I'm a badass or something like that. You know, like
Absolute ridiculous. What do you got, Stacey?
All right, so I lost it a little later than Patrick, but earlier than most everyone else. When they started talking about the science and the extra pair of chromosomes, like it was this
It's a
plausible
24th
thing.
chromosome.
C24.
Humans
Like,
only
you-
have 23.
Just don't. No, totally.
I sat. I had
Absolutely.
to stop it and just sit there for a
The
few
impetus
minutes.
for that was, what did Dad always tell us?
Yeah.
There are 23
no.
chromosomes. Why would your dad tell? Oh, that's the thing.
That's the bedtime story.
one
Yeah,
thing.
totally.
You
Remember,
Can
children.
I, can I remember?
Yeah, look both ways when you cross the street, and there's 23 chromosomes
Right.
in the human genome.
Absolute
You know, that's what my
bullshit.
mom always said to me. So I guess, yeah.
one of the reasons it was so
Alright.
clear that Rosamund Pike's like slight Eastern European accent was poking through is probably because she like couldn't stand even saying the lines. She was just like, I'm just not going to hire the dialect
I'm
coach
just
for this part.
disgusted
I
by
just can't
this.
even do it.
Well,
No, she didn't do Harry Potter to do this movie.
no.
Oh my god.
She turned down Harry
No.
Potter to do this and Pride and Prejudice.
No.
idea. Wow.
Absolute madness.
No. I do love the way that she delivers that line. I think she says 10% of the human genome is unmapped. Some say it's the genetic blueprint for the soul.
For the
and
soul.
then nobody acknowledged that. Like, oh yeah, that checks out. But
that's-
perfect.
that's
Some say
another
that.
thing.
Right.
You're wrong.
Who says that? You say that? Okay.
But that tease, along with Goat being a ridiculously devout Christian,
Yeah.
etching himself with crosses,
Sure.
made me think hell's gonna happen
Totally.
some
Yeah.
way.
Right.
Yes.
It's super. We're getting a little bit into the religion of everything. Oh no, it's just drugs and aliens and zombies.
I didn't need like a
Start with
crazy
that.
Doom level hell either. I could have even dealt with a cheesy like Scorpion fights Johnny Cage in hell
Yeah.
moment. That would,
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
sweet.
about? Like
a
could have
whole
just been
bunch
like
of trusses and
flames
Can you
and
direct
like
the
bones.
next Doom? I feel like you just nailed. That's all I want.
that's the action
That's
movie you guys
done.
are writing. Dude,
Yes.
why not?
Excellent.
Speaking of cast, Rosamund Pike was essentially the only female in this movie.
Yeah.
Carl Urban
Yeah.
plays a grim John Grimm
Yes.
with codename Reaper. As Reaper
They're-
Grimm. What is it?
They're Marines, not poets. So good. It's my favorite line in the whole movie.
Diobia Opere Destroyer. I don't know why he's credited near the top. Rosamund Pike, Razza Doty plays Duke. Dexter Fletcher is Pinky. Dwayne Johnson as Sarge. A lot of our side cast is like, well, they don't have a name, they're gonna die. So I did feel that they had a squad mentality.
Yeah.
Like they had military training from a guy who retired 2 months before the shooting began, or before the prep on this movie started. So he was super fresh, wanted to make sure that they could handle the military aspect of it, and I think it came across. What did y'all think of Richard Brakes Portman, the seedy Weasley guy who just had to take a shit?
He's the best part of the movie.
I totally agree.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's the best. He's the only character with any sort of depth at all. And he killed Bruce Wayne's parents.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Joe Chill.
Excellent
Joe
point.
Chill.
It's Joe Chill.
If you want to come back in a big way, Doom.
So, I mean, I was really happy to see him die, but it was because he did a good job of playing his
Right.
character.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He was a good character that I really didn't like.
Like the
quarantine situation, ladies.
Oh
Try
my
strip
God.
searches. God.
just the seediest.
Well, he's gonna lock
disgusting.
himself in a room with a bottle of tequila and a room full of he-she's or something. What does he say at the beginning?
Yeah, she-boys or
She-boy,
something.
I don't
Yeah, it
know,
was
but like they set the table for him. I'm like,
At least
right
he's
on.
honest, you know?
Yeah,
Like, at least-
totally. I agree.
Goat was tired of his filth. I liked. He's like, I gotta take a dump. I was like, you're gonna die. Just like straight up. Just
No,
like,
seriously.
Yes,
There
you are.
it is.
We talk about this character in movies a lot, where there's the guy you know he's gonna die guy.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
even from the first time
But
you
he's-
see him, you're like, you got way too much greased back hair, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna die.
But he's that
Super
guy
bad.
and the shit weasel.
absolutely.
Literally the shit weasel. It's like, I gotta go take a shit. I'm gonna step away from this guy with a giant chain gun and take a shit.
Yeah.
Well, the writers clearly were like, okay, guys, what's the best thing we have? It's that part when The Rock says something to Portman and says, God damn. He's like, shut the fucking door, Portman. God damn it, Portman. He says it like 9 times. in the movie.
Continues. That
No
was
one's
the
gonna be
best
sad
part.
if you die. Like, dude, that's fucking. Hey.
What should The Rock say here? Just have him curse at Portman again.
Yeah. Have him say fuck really authoritatively. So the basic plot, I can't believe I said that, is they have to quarantine this Mars base. There's some sort of an infection, and some scientists go missing. Todd Carmack goes missing, referenced both Todd Hollinshead and John Carmack, the co-owners of id Software back in the day, fathers of the first-person shooter.
And Carmack is now CTO at Oculus Rift. The guy continues to be a hero of mine.
He's madness.
he's just genius.
He once said of the story of Doom, video game stories are like the stories of porn. It's there, but nobody really pays attention to it.
Sounds like Carmack.
Bless him. And then
My man.
there was also Dr. Willits, who went missing, who's after Tim Willits, who is the lead designer of Doom 3.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of id in this
man.
movie.
If this turned out to be a porno, this would have just been absolutely brilliant.
It would have been
Yeah.
way better. It would've been
I
way
agree.
better.
I mean, you would have you could have some monster porn. I mean, this could have been really dark, you know.
Ben had a tough childhood.
if this had come out modernly, where they
I'm not
made
judging.
If this had come out now, where they make porn out of everything,
Yeah.
would have happened. It totally when he shoots something out, probably would have been a dick.
Dick.
Probably.
Here's my favorite thing. So the whole time I was watching this movie, you would see one of these demon monsters come out, and they'd be like kind of like, and all that came to mind for me is the demon that has sex with Jonah Hill, and this is the end while he's
Yes.
sleeping, and he has the giant cock, and
Totally.
right. It's like that's, and I just kept imagining like, I
kept
wonder if
thinking
that's
about
what
that
the
demon
demon
cock.
was.
Well, that's
Hey guys, if you want more of this, you can check us out on Action Movie Anatomy on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock.
No, I love this porn. So like, and also BFG would have been like they would have said it like big fucking gun,
Yeah.
as
Right.
opposed
Yeah.
to big fucking gun.
Gun.
that was the
Yeah.
line.
Fucking would have been the
It's a big
operative
fucking
word.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
Yeah. Just like,
You know,
it would have been a big force of another kind. Yes. But yeah, there isn't too much. The thing about the story and the reason why I kind of enjoyed this movie was because there really wasn't a story, and as I said in the speedrun, they didn't apologize about it.
No.
You're just here to watch things die
Totally.
and explode, and it paid off with the first person sequence at the end, but the plot resolved itself. The Rock, I thought the turn of The Rock was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely
that's the
interesting.
thing about playing video. I mean, Doom was like the father, the grandfather of first-person shooters. You know, it was like the first time they really got everyone into it, like super mainstream. And back then, you didn't need to have a story to play a video game.
Yeah.
You were playing a video game. That's all that mattered.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
we used to play games where we would just jump on top of things for 10 hours, and it was mind-blowing.
It was awesome.
Better than homework.
So like you don't need to, right?
Totally.
So you don't need to apologize for that
Yep.
in this. But the one thing though is like when The Rock did change. First of all, everyone wanted to pull for The Rock the whole movie. Carl Urban was boring.
Yeah.
But then once you switch, you're like you said this on the way here. It was like, well, now that The Rock's an alien, you kind of got to root for Carl Urban. But what was with this like Fright Night '80s turn? It was like The Rock cut and then like vampire from the '80s, werewolf man.
Also said it my second favorite line of that whole thing when he's like, "Are you gonna shoot me?" And Carl Urban's like, "I mean, I was kind of thinking about it." Like, yes,
That was
it was
great.
great, right? Like, it's the only time I feel like anybody was having any fun during this entire movie.
The only time you kind of feel for Carl Urban as a
Totally.
character too. Like, oh hey, there's a personality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, for
Got
sure.
something there.
I did find it surprising when The Rock just like takes out the kid when he's just like I like really didn't think that was like the way the movie was gonna go, and I'd never seen it.
Yeah.
But it is one of those interesting situations where I'm like, just because it's interesting doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, but like by the end of it, I'm like, what the hell just happened? It's like having one of your main characters like kill themselves at the end of a movie, just like because it's intense, and you're like, but then just like why?
Yeah.
What did that do for the story?
I think if Rock turned into like a giant baron, like one of the large red demons with the horns,
If he was like, if he became the
Yes.
end boss, essentially.
like a cyber
Like
demon,
a mecha Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In essence.
Yes.
Movie in the making, by
Yeah.
the way. That would have been awesome.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
So wait, let me get this straight though. Like, none of you guys had seen this movie when it came out.
Yeah, I think you're the only one that did.
I think I watched it maybe like in 2008 or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was day one, so I got a phone call from my brother. So I was skeptical. I was very trepidatious when seeing the commercials. It looked bad, at the time, despite really loving this property. I get a phone call from my brother. My brother is in DC, and he literally says, "Patrick, I will fly home so I can watch it with you today. I will get on a flight right now. We can watch it together tonight."
Wow.
That
Like,
happened?
impossible expectations. Doesn't get on a plane. I'm like, no. But he's like dead serious. He's like, I will do this. This is the greatest movie of all time. So I went into this abomination with those types of
He
expectations.
thought it was that
I
good.
feel like your
We
brother
s-
should be here
we
instead of
still
us.
fight about this. You have no idea. Kristian Dees, it's at only one on Twitter. Please tweet at him and tell him that he's an idiot and that
Wait.
he's got terrible taste in movies.
You guys fight about this. Why?
Because he still won't let this go. I guarantee this is his constant. Literally every time we go home for Christmas, Thanksgiving, things to that effect. It's like, you know what's good?
change your
Dude,
mind
he's
on
like,
Doom?
No, he's like, could you pass the gravy? You know what I'll tell you while I'm passing it? It's Doom's a pretty damn good movie. And we're like,
Remember the time The
"We're
Rock
gonna let
said
this go?"
fuck a lot?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he
It's
also
ridiculous.
is he the guy that's like Mortal Kombat Annihilation is better than Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat?
he's that guy. Yeah.
Still haven't done Annihilation yet.
No,
We're
we have not.
we're waiting for a good
We
weekend.
like
show.
put Annihilation on because we did Mortal Kombat on the show recently, and
Okay.
we put Annihilation on.
And
like,
we were intoxicated when we put it on.
And like I was like, this has to be because I saw it in theaters. I was like, this has to be more entertaining than I remember it being as a
Right.
kid. And we got like about 6 minutes into it, and it's like, I don't know how this movie actually exists. How did this happen? How is this even on screen? What the hell are we watching? Like it was like unreal. They
Can I guess the
recast-
moment? Mother, you're alive.
Yeah.
Too bad you.
Die. You're like, all right, click.
What else is on? I saw
Oh,
that in
Antiques
it.
Roadshow. Thank God. Better than that.
Full theater.
Yeah.
Day one. Right after it got out, we went next door to Warehouse Music and picked up the soundtrack.
Oh, well.
Still better than the movie.
I also
Is that-
The
remember.
soundtrack? Oh, yeah.
I also remember another experience of us we did recently when we watched Spawn the movie, and we had
Oh,
the same
yeah.
we had the same moment where I was like, so this is what this movie is.
John Leguizamo's finest.
yeah.
Never.
I actually like Spawn.
Yeah.
He's
Oh no,
That's fine.
I thought I liked it. I remember it.
People have many different. That's why we do this show. It is our life's mission.
It is our life's mission.
to talk about these video game
is.
monstrosities. This was a monstrosity that I could kind of get behind, and I think part of the reason too was the film's producer John Wells. He talked about how many video game adaptations sucked. Straight up.
Yeah.
Just totally
Yeah.
not good. They don't get a lot of financial support. They get done on the cheap. But he also said that having a Doom movie without a first-person sequence would be a miscarriage of justice.
Wow.
He
Wow.
wanted this movie to have
Miscarriage
the-
of Justice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really
that's
passionate about
Seagal's
it.
next movie, Miscarriage of Justice. He sorry. I also I want to hand it to him because he didn't want to rely on CGI because he said the technology wasn't there yet. It wasn't. They couldn't make the monsters that he really wanted, and by putting the CG heavy part in first person, it kind of tricks your eye a little bit more than if you saw it
Sure.
off perspective. So the fact that they did prosthetics in this made the monsters seem that much more intense, especially the Hell Knight, even though you could barely even see them, which isn't as much fun. But the studio initially wanted to make it PG-13. They're like, fuck that! You gotta make it an R-rated movie.
It's Doom.
No,
It's
yeah,
Doom.
I agree.
You can't make a Doom movie. Let's watch the blood, fellas. No. But if they wanted, to go R, like crank it up. Let's push NC-17.
I want to see things getting chopped in half with a chainsaw.
Gratuitous.
Like
yeah.
gnarly
Let's do it.
ass chainsaw murdering.
Yep.
Like that's what I want. But it's so funny that because I was reading the outline, and I mean, I did a little bit of my own research, and I saw that stuff, and it's like, we got to do this, we can't do this, and this has to be right. What happened?
Where was it?
Right? Like, wait, so what? You use prosthetics, so no one has to act or light anything? Yeah. You know, like
That's scary. If you can't see them, though, you don't know what it is.
it doesn't matter that it's
Theater of
prosthetics.
the
You can't
mind.
fucking see it.
No,
Here
totally.
was because this is the thing I noticed, and I talked about this, and you said Doom 3. This is what this is.
Yeah.
But I do remember when I played Doom, thinking like, you could definitely distinctly tell that the monsters that they were all different. Like that, this guy's clearly I'm supposed to feel this way about this guy.
Yeah.
Everything that you see in this movie, literally up until that section, they all look exactly the same. They all look kind of just like, I don't know. They look like some sort of. I'm trying to think what it reminded me of, but they
Indistinct, right? You can't. There aren't even words for it. They're just like,
Yeah.
it's a monster.
They're
It's
just
like a
kinda-
mix between like the zombies in Walking Dead and the zombies in like 28 Days Later.
Sure,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Right.
Without as good of makeup or something.
But they're like a little bigger, and they look a little bit more like the statue that Reptile gets into, that turns into in Mortal
That's
Kombat.
exactly.
How many times?
You just want to talk.
Well, no, can we?
Should we
No,
go?
to that.
Right place, right as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
While we're talking about it, though, how many times have you seen Mortal Kombat, Ben?
Oh, well over 100.
Okay, just want to make sure
Good
that was
man.
established.
Good man.
But I think the idea that they tried to explain away was if you have a pure heart, if you have no impetus for rage, then you won't turn into a hell monster.
yeah.
So there really were only two, and then the Hell Knight. But where did the Hell Knight come from? Did it come from another place? They never explained that. And there was just the fact that there wasn't hell stuff.
Is the Hell Knight the one that he blows up?
That's the one that gets him in the electric.
The electric thing with
Oh,
the
that's-
weird like head
Yeah.
sort of a
Yeah.
thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This thing that what's his name fights? Destroyer fights?
Destroyer fights, yeah.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I still couldn't really tell the difference between any.
Yeah, no, it's still kind of, yep. It's a
I
little samey.
I still have, Patrick and I still have Doom 20place in our brain, like the one
Yeah.
that just came out.
Is it awesome?
It's so fucking good.
Is it?
That
Because
is
it
an
looks
understatement.
so
It's
sweet.
fucking
fucking
rad.
sweet.
It plays differently than anything out there right now. It totally rewards being aggressive. Like every shooter on the market rewards hiding behind cover and ostensibly not
No.
playing for a second while your health regens. None of that here. Literally, the only way you get health is by killing. So when you're down, when you're at 4 or 5%, you go straight into the middle of those fools. It's incredible.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's so fast.
So now that we have this new Doom experience and the music, that was something that I think could have made this movie a little bit better, is if it matched the level of metal that the original Doom games had.
Well, it's, you got Clint Mansell, who is incredible.
Yeah.
Like The Fountain, I believe, is one of my favorite that he did, and like there's a few other ones. I love Clint Mansell. Like I was a huge soundtrack guy in college. You got Clint Mansell and Nine Inch Nails working together. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. It should have been
Why?
so much
It's a
cooler.
pretty sweet end track, though. Like, is the title, as
True.
the credits
Yeah, but
roll.
where was
That's
that
what
thing
it
the
was
rest of the
done.
movie?
I don't know. It was baffling.
But
It
it's like
was so toned down for the rest of the movie, and then at the end you get this kind of epic like moment
Yeah.
that you want to hear through the rest of the movie.
Totally.
You're
Yeah, credits
like
were
through
awesome.
the hallway.
You're like, cool.
Yeah.
Now that I don't like the movie and there was no good music, you're gonna play this sweet song while I'm like I'm trying to find something else to watch.
Right. As I'm leaving the theater.
The funny thing about the credits is I found out that it's a first-person perspective when you see the different members of the cast, and the only people that the shotgun doesn't shoot at are the people that stayed alive in the movie. Which I know that's kind of fun, but where's that attention to detail in the goddamn movie? So
Can I ask about that? So, like, how do you guys feel about the first-person section? We haven't talked about that directly, right?
we're gonna.
Were you get there?
Here's the next 10 minutes.
Great.
When the first person section started, they ramped up to it with Urban looking at himself in the mirror, and it was
Yep.
kind of bobbing a little bit. But once the gun came up, I was like, we're fucking into it.
Had you heard about this coming into this?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Okay. So you were ready for it.
I knew this
Skeptical?
was gonna happen.
And
And that was a shot of adrenaline she gave him?
it was the
No.
24th
it was
chromosome.
Oh, that's
Yeah, now
So-
he has 24 pairs.
yeah, I missed that.
The science.
It's like, what are you doing?
scientician.
I'm injecting you with the 24th chromosome. No, don't do it.
Right.
If I turn into one of those things, one in the heart, one in the head, I won't need to.
Right, because it's the only way that he could take on.
They started
And
talking.
Heel and
Dwayne.
survive the shot though. 'cause
Rocket
didn't
Dwayne
something
Johnson.
ricochet and
Yeah,
shot
Dwayne the
him.
Fright
Oh,
Night
that
He
was
was
actually
dying.
He was dying.
He was
That was
bleeding
my
out.
other controller toss moment.
Okay.
Was the slow motion bullet ricochet?
Yeah,
like
real
they didn't
dumb.
have
Yeah.
3D back then, but if they did, it would have been the worst 3D ever, and it came back and hit him. I was like, fuck.
It would have been like
Real
half of the wanted shot of the bullet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it would have been
Right.
terrible. But first person shooter sequence.
I thought the first-person shooter sequence was the most satisfying part of the movie.
All right.
Because, like I said, it was the only part of the movie that made me feel like I was. I don't know. I was watching it and I was like, this looks a little corny. It's a little fake looking.
Oh, for sure.
But I was like, when I was a kid, I could watch my older brother play video games for hours. Even
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't playing, I could just watch him play games. So I was like, and there's no talking, and this doesn't look particularly convincing, but I'm still like, this is exciting. This is actually visceral and exciting.
Yeah.
And it just felt like Doom. It felt like the game that I played growing up. It was that's what this should have been. They should have figured out more ways to do that sort of thing. I guess the idea that you would call a movie Doom and you would base it on Doom 3 makes no sense because unless Doom 3, and I missed it, was the most popular Doom game or the most iconic. But the stuff I was talking about that I remembered is like, I felt like I watched all the Doom games come out. I would watch my friends play that, and that
Right.
stuff was always the stuff that stuck with me.
Until this most recent Doom,
Yeah.
OG was still
It was the
still
best.
Yeah,
It was the best.
100%.
Yeah.
So since we're already on the couch, I'm going to say that I totally agree. I think that was the best part of the movie. It's the only time when I was watching it, and I love horror movies. Like
Sure.
I love horror movies. I love great action movies. But it was the only time I wasn't scared, but I was kind of like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a little excited.
Yeah.
that noise is my new ringtone.
Yeah. You're welcome. But so I have two things to say about that. Do you think they could have done it more in the movie and it would have gotten tired, or do you think they had to save it for that point?
Yep.
And then also, do you think that they could have just done it longer at the end? Because it was like 5 to 10 minutes.
So
right?
I think both are like super legit questions, and I don't think that you can go longer. But I'm super glad that they did it. So like in 2005, me when I watched that in the theater, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. We're gonna do this. At that point, I'd hated it so much and like thrown all of the controllers. At this point, I'm just like, I'm over it. There's no more fucks
Bag
to
of
give.
controllers with you to throw.
Totally. And then it's like to your point, I think it was like it's super slow and it feels like a light gun game, right? Like some guy pops up and they shoots
Yeah.
him and
Right.
then they turn the corner.
It's like Area 51.
Totally, yeah. And
Because they would stand there and just get shot.
yeah, it's real dumb. But I think they took a chance.
Yeah.
And then 2015, me like watched this was like, all right, they were going for something misguided and poor execution, whatever. I really loved this scene, like this round.
Right?
Totally, it's the best part of the
best
whole
part of the
movie.
whole film.
Totally, and I think if it had been a movie where they took a bunch of chances, at the very least, it would have been more interesting to watch than the garbage
Right.
we got. And
Right.
like, I'd rather somebody like be a cult classic than just be this wannabe bestseller. I don't know, it's terrible.
Thing that exists.
Yeah.
What do you think, Stacey?
So when it started up and I realized like what they were doing, I was kind of like, okay, this could be really terrible. This might have been like the worst decision ever. And then it got going like after he turns away from the mirror and like gets into it, and I was like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, totally.
I am on board.
Yeah,
I
think
well
the
lit.
only other time they could have used this, I think, was in the boss fight with The Rock, because it's an arena, and if they didn't slow it down to where they're all kind of creeping out, but if they just went
Yes.
full on violence
Yes.
with it,
Yes.
and you have to keep running around the room like the game,
Yes.
Right.
it
Yeah.
probably would have made it a little bit more engaging. Now that we're in a world with a movie like Hardcore Henry, we could have a first person Doom movie, and
Yeah.
it could be fucking awesome.
Well, I just think you could, and we'll get to recast in a little bit, but I honestly think you could make this movie today. You could even like structure it in a similar way with the same plot. You give it more first person, make the CGI and the monsters cooler, make it more outside, cast it with better actors and a better script, and you wouldn't even have to change that much about the actual like the story. You could go with most of the same shit. It's I mean, like I said, it's Predator. Like you just use the formula for Predator and put better people in it. You can even recast. You could just use The Rock again.
You just use the same cast.
No,
All
totally.
those people are still working.
Put Rock
totally.
as
And
the
they've
hero.
improved
Exactly.
since then.
And Carl Urban as the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that it would work because I'm just imagining like even as far back as like what year did Hellboy 2 come out? Was that like 2008 or something like that?
Something, yeah.
8 or 9.
There's that amazing sequence when he's fighting the vine monster and he blows it up and they like it's growing out. You know what I'm talking about? It's gorgeous.
Yes.
That's 2008. And like that's amazing CGI.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like a crazy, spectacular visual thing you could watch now. This movie could kick ass now if you made it.
Yeah, it didn't though, because we were led through this movie by Andrzej Bartkowiak, who is a director of an illustrious film that we covered on this show called Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
One of the greatest.
God awful.
Oh, he's leaving.
I don't think I would have shown up.
Can I come with you?
I literally don't think I
You
would have
weren't
showed
here
up.
for that episode. We just shit all over.
Do not think I would have showed up to watch. Yeah,
That's like
incredible.
That's like another 2008, right?
That was
That was like 2009, right?
It was his
still the
next movie
worst.
after this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a really,
Years later.
really bad movie.
It's like not even a bad Street Fighter movie, just a bad.
Arguably the
everything.
worst I've seen. I don't know.
It's
It has-
super bad.
it's
So we
real
talked about
bad.
him plenty.
Yes, we have.
Let's just speed through that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no more.
So for box office on this, it was 60 million budget and it made 57 worldwide.
Wow.
So it bombed.
And it started off really well too. Like the opening weekend, it did great, and
And
then
then word of mouth was just
I mean,
Exactly.
gone. 19% critic
great.
score, 34% audience score. Had to include Mr. Richard Roper, who
please.
provided our negative review.
What did Mr.
The
Roper
performances
say?
are awful. The action sequences are impossible to follow. The violence is gratuitous. The lighting is bad. And I have my doubts that the catering truck was even up to snuff on this project.
My man.
Wow.
it's like so
Sick
douchey, but
burn.
it's so good.
But it's like, you know what?
The right
Those
balance.
tacos probably sucked.
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
They weren't fed well. They weren't happy. No one wanted to do that.
And even for the positive one, Joe Ticci from Film Focus said, "Will never be any better than average, but we were always promised unapologetic, violent, action-oriented fun, and so if you go in with that in mind, you'd have to have a stone cold heart not to have a blast."
A blast.
Apparently, I'm
A
dead
blast?
inside.
You know, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I went in with pretty low expectations,
Yeah.
and after like the setup, and I realized what I was in for, I just stopped caring,
Check
and
out.
I
It
did
was all
enjoy
right.
that.
Yeah, you can.
You know what? I had no expectations. I stopped caring
Great.
about when they just completely screwed every sense of sense, and it was fun.
My expectations were also low. They stayed low throughout.
Yeah, sounds
And,
about right.
Yeah, they never raised.
But I made it through the whole movie. I'll tell you that.
You're
much.
alive,
Yeah.
so that's
Came
a
out the other
start.
side.
Yeah, not much else to say. The first person shooter sequence was really the only highlight. But let's get into some of our fun games that we have that we didn't steal from Action Movie Anatomy.
No.
Let's
No.
get into favorite line. We usually do one or two of these. Real, fake, silly, stupid. What does everybody got? Who wants to go first?
I can pull on mine up
I
right
can go
now.
first if you
Okay,
guys.
Andrew
All right.
Ghai.
My favorite line is so quick, and all it is ooh nice. And it's when Carmack rips off his own ear, and the shit weasel's in the back, and you hear him kind of going, oh, nice. Like, I like rewound it like
What an
3 times.
asshole.
I was like, wait, did
he just
did that
say
really
nice?
happen? Did it really? And I was like, he did.
You turn on
He
closed
said,
captions.
Oh.
I was like, oh, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I'm gonna write it down. Ooh, nice. I even wrote it. And I can't even remember what does it exactly say here. Someone else can go, but it's like my. Go ahead. Someone else go.
I was gonna use one of the "get in the damn hole" Portman. I was gonna
Yeah.
use one of those lines,
Sure.
but he does it so many times.
Yeah.
By the end, it's like
How
I
do you
couldn't really
choose?
choose which one would be the one. So I think I'll go with the scene between Duke and Rosamund Pike, and she's like, "You know, Duke, I'll bet secretly you've got a big heart." And he's like, "That's not the only secret big thing I got." And then she like is somehow entertaining this. Like she seems to actually be charmed by Duke. Like she's
That's
clever. It's like working. Like if he hadn't gotten sucked through a grate on the floor and like split in half, it seemed like she and Duke might have even
He
had
had
a
a
thing.
shot,
She's
right?
really stuck
Yeah,
around
yeah.
people for too long.
Right.
In her little.
Yeah, she's been
research
stuck
lab.
there.
She
But
just needed something.
But again, like somebody says to Duke, "Don't do this again, Duke." So it's like you're the guy that does this, but like it's working. How is this
Yeah.
working? And you're
Yeah.
supposed to like none of that made any sense to me. I was like,
And
that's
there was
good.
no inclination that it should work. You were presented with the idea, this guy sucks.
He's
What an
gonna-
asshole,
right, yeah,
douchebag. But it was like, you know what? Kind of charming.
All right, so
yeah.
And then he
Charming.
says the thing about a super powered bone blaster saw or something like
It's like,
that.
go give me something to work with. It's just
Yeah.
like,
It's like I've been waiting for you my whole life. All
All right, so
go
this is what I had to write down when he said the "ooh nice." It says when the creepy guy who killed Bruce Wayne's parents says "oh nice" when Carmack tears off his own ear. So that's what happened. As that happened, I was like, what do I write down? I was like, how am I going to remember this perfectly? But that was it. That's my moment.
It's pretty fantastic. What do y'all got?
So Samantha Grimm in the lab when she's talking to Reaper, and she goes, "You could have spent your life looking down a microscope instead of a sniper scope."
Oh yes.
Oh, girl.
I totally.
Yeah, burn. It's a sick
Damn.
burn. Sick burn.
Burn with the fires of hell.
I want a gif of Donica doing that snap.
It's a good time.
Need a bigger shot. Yeah. I have to be standing for that proper hip. What about you, Patrick?
I liked a lot. I liked them. We can arrange that. I feel like there's plenty of space in here.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
figure it out.
We can make this happen. The 10% of the human genome is among my favorites. I love the Marines Not Poets. I kind of also really liked, and I don't remember who it is, but ask the Grimm twins if they're identical twins, which
It was probably Duke.
doesn't. I mean, they're,
Right.
they're
Identical?
different genders, so they're not identical twins.
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
it's like no, and then nobody
Strong
like addresses
point.
that.
Strong point.
Yeah.
Strong
You make a
point.
very
Yeah.
valid point.
Like they just gloss over it, like
right.
idiot.
I'm gonna be
I was
honest.
like-
In real time, I missed it. But now that you bring it up,
It was
Seems pretty
yeah.
fucking stupid.
Yeah, thanks, Duke.
Mine was the biggest tease, but it was one of those stare at the screen winky moments at the beginning where Reaper goes, "We all have to face our demons." And I was
yeah.
like, "We're gonna
Oh.
get some hell!"
Yeah.
All right.
There was a little hope in
Doesn't
that.
happen. And then Sarge's big fucking gun.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
agree.
was like.
Yeah.
All right.
He
here
leaned
we
into
go.
the
Yeah.
F-bomb
Yeah.
particularly well there.
I mean, he did the
Yes.
entire movie.
I agree.
It's like every 10
But that-
minutes, instead of an action beat, they had a fuck beat with
Yep.
The Rock.
have you thought about how like
Also, good porn.
fuck beat?
It's a fuck beat.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rock's fuck beat.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like just like filming this movie and like so much of it's just like, okay, The Rock, stand there and like look over here, and then we're gonna swing past you, and you're gonna say like fucking move or something like that, and then you have to shoot that like 14 times because it's like you're gonna need to get the pickup from every angle, and like that's what most of this filming this movie probably is. It just sounds miserable actually. Like there's like just no
And they're in the
substance.
sewer thing too.
So good.
They probably didn't have to change lighting because it was all the same throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
none.
Yeah.
No.
lights.
Could have just done it against a blue screen and get it done in like 2 weeks. Would have taken as long as the first person's shooter sequence, which took a lot longer than it should have. All right, so we've been talking about it all show. Let's talk about our recast with actors from the year of the original game's release.
1993.
Game comes out in 1993. They go, we need to make a Doom movie. Who do we got? So here are the characters that we're doing. We're doing Portman, Duke, Sarge, Samantha, and Reaper.
Yeah, this is exciting.
It's pretty exciting. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start from Portman.
Okay.
Who do you want to see be the shit weasel in Doom?
I got it. 1993, Gary Busey.
Busey!
Oh, that's
teeth,
so
too!
good.
Oxymarta!
That's
Don't be foolish.
so good.
2 years past Utah. Get me too. It's just 2 years past that. It's
It's
perfect. His brain
perfect.
damage had set in. He had a big gut. He
Yes.
could just be. He could be a little more washed up. A little
Gotta go
older.
take a shit.
Yeah.
What do you want me to shit my pants?
It'd be awesome. I pulled a lot from.
Damn it, that's
I pretty
good.
much stole everything from Point Break and Surviving the Game.
Perfect.
That's like.
I would expect nothing better.
Ben's
Right.
2 favorite movies.
Yeah.
I went with Jackie Earl Haley because he's creepy and weird, and I love him so much.
Totally.
That's
Little
good.
children, yeah.
Yes.
God, I don't know if I can get past. Busey though. What do you got?
Good. So, thought it would be funny to see Bill Pullman.
Oh yeah.
Pullman?
Yes.
Not
Ooh.
Paxton. Paxton's like the obvious choice. You want Pullman.
I did.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah, he's yeah, okay. I get that. It's against,
like
it's
that.
against type because he's a nice guy, but just make him a shit weasel, right?
Why not?
Just get that.
Bill
that's fine.
Pullman's slick back hair and like
Yeah, oh, yeah.
little scruff, it'd be great.
So look.
Gross.
It's pretty good.
Patrick?
It's pretty good. So I missed the memo that we were doing 93, so I cast
It's always
modern.
the year we
I
do it.
know, but I was driving over here. I totally missed that, so I'll come up with those as I go. I cast this one modern day.
I
I know.
monster.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
Fair
Gonna
enough.
throw everybody off, but let's do it.
I know. It's Andrew Scott who plays Jim Moriarty in the
Yep.
BBC.
BBC Sherlock.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy's
yeah.
creepy
Got it.
as hell. He's like he could just be weird and skittery the entire
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
I went straight up Tommy Lee Jones.
That's
Thinking
not
of, I mean,
bad.
Crimson Tide was not Crimson Tide.
No,
No,
Under Siege?
Under Siege was
Yeah.
the one that I was thinking of. Was
Like
just
right
like
around
I was like, I'm gonna nod my head, but
Yeah.
that's not the
That's
movie
not
you're
the-
trying to talk
Yeah.
about.
Too many movies.
The fugitive
Sorry,
Tommy Lee.
I got Seagal on my head. But no, Busey's so
so
good.
sweet.
Busey's so
so
good.
good.
It's so good.
Let's
Just
go
one
to.
casting, I feel
nail.
like.
Let's
go-
Yes.
Don't give him that yet.
All right. Okay.
Don't
Okay.
give
Okay.
that to
Okay.
him.
Okay.
Let's go to Duke. Who do we got for Duke?
Oh, these are sweet.
Oh,
we got good ones.
You go
here.
first on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
got Mr. Tony Todd from The Rock, who's the guy that goes, I don't like soft ass shit.
Yeah,
He's like,
yes.
he's the Rocket Man.
You're
He's
the Rocket Man.
Yes, that's great.
gigantic.
It's great.
Yeah.
Tony Todd. He
Anytime
also
you do
plays.
Cade.
He also does the voice of Zoom right now on Flash.
No one asked.
I went with Ice-T. And it's a surviving the game recast. This is right around that time, so Ice-T, he would have been like perfect. He's not quite as like grizzled as he needs to be, but I think he does a good job playing dirty undercover. In
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like his.
board, huh?
I don't like his vocal tone for that.
What if I had gone with Seal? That was my other choice.
Way better.
I want Eddie Murphy.
I would watch that movie.
I think 93 Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Could,
good.
if you go full
Hey.
silly with it,
Does
Okay.
someone have that?
Metro era.
Did you write that?
I wrote Eddie Murphy.
Oh, that's
That's
beautiful.
that's real
That's
good.
great.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's real good. That's real good.
It's
What do
no
you got?
Tony Todd, but
You're the Rocket Man. Sorry, what do you got?
So I ended up settling on Dougie Doug.
Doug E. I like.
Dougie Doug, yeah.
no, that's great.
It's not bad.
Doug.
I had to process that one.
Take that
Yeah,
kind of-
right. The wheels were
Take
turning.
that kind of a little sillier, but still
Like
the
full
charming,
ham.
the kind
Full
of
ham with
charm
Doug E.
would
Doug.
turn up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
good.
I like that a lot. Damn it.
Way better than Ice-T.
Patrick, who's your modern
not.
one?
I would go 93. I'd probably go Apollo Creed. What's his
Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Carl
No,
Weathers, right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, you're talking. Okay. I
Yeah,
thought
that
you
would
meant
be
now.
my.
Going
that would
back.
be my
No, modern. Let's do Carl Weathers.
My modern would be the guy that played. His name's Sterling K. Brown. He played Christopher Darden in The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
That guy just needs to work more,
Guy's
as far
good.
as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. And
We
this
had
would be
him
his
at- I think
breakout.
we had him at the studio.
What?
Yeah, no, we had him at the studio.
Arguably the best part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I want that guy working more.
Great.
Good.
You should have used Carl Weathers. Goddamn alligator bit my hand off.
Yes.
Yeah, Weathers.
I got another large secret thing to show.
Weathers would obviously fit in, considering this is just Predator, and he's.
I agree. Let's
The
just
people
steal
that
that.
got-
Let's steal it wholesale. I like it.
What do we got for Sarge? Rock the Dwayne Johnson's role.
I went Dolph Lundgren.
You want
thought about
Lundgren for
Dolph.
Sarge?
Yeah.
Yes.
He
I
can't
must
really
break
act,
you.
but like at this point, like The Rock
Who
can't really do much
cares?
either, and like he also turned out to be evil. So like him being evil makes his like bad acting actually okay.
Yep.
But he physically can do the part. So yeah, I went with Dolph.
I want Arnold.
Yeah?
I want to see angry, mad monster Arnold.
Turn into a little bit more of a
Yes.
mutant.
Yeah.
He would kind of have the same look and expression as in Batman Forever when he's got the lab coat and he's turning into freeze. Batman Forever. You're like, you have no business being in a lab coat. What do you?
But it was like the same thing of like you're not good at acting, and I'm still rooting for you the whole movie. But if you're gonna turn into a bad guy, like Arnold would have been him.
Yeah.
Weird. I went with super badass. I went with Wesley Snipes.
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I like him a lot.
Simon Says.
Good. I like that.
Oh yeah, Snipes.
die.
Snipes is real good.
Yeah, 93 Snipes. That's crap. What did he just do after that? Whatever. We're running out of time.
Okay.
Stacey.
That's
so originally I had Arnold too before I found out about the whole casting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. That works.
Yeah, that was my.
2 out of 5 ain't bad. Patrick.
I would again probably maybe Sylvester Stallone just to keep with the Rocky theme at that point. But I probably modern day I've got Gerard Butler.
We're sticking with the badass.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Pam.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
babe.
sorry, babe.
I'm gonna be thirsty.
I'm gonna be a zombie now.
What do we got for Samantha?
I went Madeline Stowe. Last of the Mohicans era Madeline
Yes.
Stowe.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
find you, and the look on her face, she'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I went Miss Type A, Reese Witherspoon.
Really?
Yeah. Because I don't like Rosamund
Young.
Pike, and I don't
You
like
don't?
Reese Witherspoon.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Wouldn't
Mine
Reese have been,
holds up.
wouldn't you have been too young though? What year's election?
Dude, she did. I mean, she could have done it because she did that. The Desert Crossing movie when she was like 18.
Okay.
Put her in
Okay.
a lab coat. You know what I mean?
I can't really remember that
Yeah.
much about
Put
her.
her in a lab
Lab
coat.
coat and a sweater.
Talk science.
Why
You're
not?
good.
Y'all, what do you
24
got?
chromosomes.
I had Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore.
Oh, that's
That's
good.
not bad.
That's actually a really good recast.
Elizabeth Shue from The Saint.
yeah.
I
Love
like
Elizabeth
that.
Shue.
Love Elizabeth.
I'm still in love.
if we're going straight up, I went Sigourney Weaver just for the alien reference, but
man.
my Samantha, my first Samantha was to be related to Reaper, Bridget Nielsen,
Okay. Sure.
because my Reaper was Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
that's
So the
great.
blonde
Yeah.
and the blonde.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went with the brother sister combo too. I do
Yeah.
love her. She's great.
What did you have for Reaper while we're talking
I
about
want
Brothers
Kilmer.
Oh, 93 Kilmer?
Shut it down. That's
Right?
pretty good.
Because you gotta think about
Kilmer.
where they're at in their careers, and they were both about
Yes.
to cross that echelon of becoming a big A-list mainstream star. Like, Urban ended up getting Dread, and Kilmer
Sure.
ended up getting, he's doing Ghost of Darkness and The Doors.
The Doors was the next year, yeah.
The
Oh,
Doors
wow, yeah.
far
Yeah.
surpasses anything
Sure.
that Carl Urban did, but neither of them ever became the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
When they could have been. So that's what made me go with Kilmer.
Kilmer's close. I went with the most charismatic man alive in 1993, which is Mr. Patrick Swayze.
I knew you were going to do Swayze.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
You're going to do Swayze. I
Dude,
like.
we got the pros on the couch. I feel like I'm learning.
Yeah,
like
I know.
school's in
Wonder-
session. We're learning.
I wonder how Swayze would do
Well,
the
here was
first person.
here's my. This is
He,
my.
he would have like turned it instead of shooting. He'd be like, "Oh shit, my hair."
This is my.
exactly.
This is my defense. So basically, Dolph's not good. And
Oh,
if
sure.
And if Dolph turns out to be bad, he's totally upstaged by the far more charismatic
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze.
I watched
And
that movie.
And if you're going to try to make this movie actually good, then you put a person that is that charismatic that is not Carl Urban. That's why Swayze wins.
I like Swayze. Let's see if he does win. What do y'all have?
Please.
Okay, so slightly way less charismatic. Tom Cruise.
Cruise is like the most charismatic man ever to
He's
live.
the greatest superstar of all time.
Probably the worst thing that you could have said to these guys.
I feel like I should have fed her that line. I'm like, say Tom Cruise. Say Tom.
You say Nick Cage. You say Nick Cage.
What is Nicolas Cage?
There, very good, very good.
I'm sorry.
Slightly less charismatic.
That works.
Then Patrick Swayze?
Well,
Ben?
Cruz is more charismatic than Swayze.
Okay.
I mean, Swayze is my all-time favorite. But
This is a rough moment.
Yeah, I feel like
It's like I'm choosing
Qualifying.
between my children is what I feel like I'm doing right now.
Who's your favorite dad?
Yeah, right. Tough, right.
I'll go young Oliphant. Like the Hitman had just come out. He was kind of breaking on the scene.
Okay.
Oliphant could have been cool.
Yeah.
Or modern
Oliphant.
Oliphant. He could play both.
Why not?
Yeah, he
I
can still
know.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cruz.
Yeah,
one
that's
in the
rough.
heart, one in the head.
Yeah.
Damn it. No, I want you guys to do this on your show
Yeah,
so that
right.
you can do Cage and Cruz on it. All right, so we're winding down
who
here.
was? I'm sorry, yours was Dolph.
Mine was Dolph
Yes,
Lundgren.
Dolph's
okay.
real good.
Final thoughts on Doom, everybody. Let's start with the couch.
I will never watch this movie again.
I actually have two things here because I know we're running out of time, but they can yell at us. We're the guests. We don't know what we're doing. I would definitely give this an extra. Oh, I'm sorry. Final thoughts. I won't watch it again. No, not at all.
I will watch. I'll probably go back and watch the first person sequence ad nauseum. Well, maybe not ad nauseum. I will get nauseous watching it, but I'd probably the best part of the whole movie. You probably won't give it a whole watch, if anything. How about y'all?
Okay.
Final thought would be like, hey, for me, this was a real catharsis. We talk about that every week, and I feel I can come in and vent. This is a dark, dark place in my heart. This movie has been for years. I finally exercised
10
that.
years.
I enjoyed the first person. I can just kind of put it to bed. I'm also never going to watch it again, but I feel all right with it. Like I closed that chapter in my life.
Right. I'm glad we could come here.
Yeah. Thank you
And,
guys for being part of my
share these moments.
Yes.
So if I had cable and if the TV just happened to be on and Doom
Right.
was on rotation, I would probably leave it on
And my
while I
TV
sat
was
there.
broken and it was stuck, and I couldn't change the
Big
channel,
if.
and I was
Big
tied
if.
down.
My arms
Yeah.
didn't work, and I couldn't physically change the
Yeah,
channel.
yeah.
This show makes me actually like more prone to being able to watch the movie again because if it's ever on cable, like now we've had this fun experience laughing about it, I might find myself watching it
This is
again.
why I do the show. yeah, totally.
It makes things better.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It
I kind of want to
does.
start doing for the show where 1 week we cover the movie and the week after we do a watch along after covering it, so
Right.
we can just shit all over.
Yeah, right.
But that would
Things
mean
we
we'd
don't
have to
get
watch
to.
Chun-Li again.
Nope.
No.
Which I don't ever
I will
want
not
to do.
do.
Twice
that
is
one,
too many.
That one's exempt.
Yeah, once is too many.
will
I
not
watched
do.
that
I
portion
will
of
not
it
do.
twice. So Stacey, we'll start with you on whether you give this movie franchise an extra life or a game over.
Doom as a franchise?
Doom as a film
In
franchise.
2016, yeah. Let's
give it an extra life?
Extra life.
Do something with it.
Patrick.
I'm with you. Oh,
a
I'm
resounding,
sorry.
resounding extra life. Like I think the intellectual property is rad. There's a lot they can do, and to your point, like
Yeah.
I even think the cast was pretty competent, right? Like so, I think these days you can do some really cool stuff with Hell and all that. I think you can make a really fun Doom movie that's self-aware. So yeah, resounding extra life. I'm sorry that this happened, but let's move forward.
Let's move past it.
I'm totally into it, dude.
Yeah.
And we'll get a Doom reboot probably just because the game just came out again.
Yeah.
It's super popular.
It's going to do gangbusters.
How's there not been a Duke Nukem movie yet?
I think
game
you
was
answered your own question with that. I don't know. I don't. That would be Lundgren again. But I figure maybe we'll get like a Netflix exclusive movie or something. I figure it's going to happen at some point. But in the world of Hardcore Henry, where you can do an entire first-person movie and it not make anybody nauseous. Sure. Doom is a surefire thing that now, after the success of the most recent game, which everybody should play,
absolutely.
It's so good, and the music will get stuck in your head.
That makes me so happy.
This is an extra life. We have a resounding extra life for Doom,
100%.
And I want to see it.
This is a first for us. We've never had like a unanimous extra life on the show.
And 5 people.
Out of 5.
Yeah, I know, totally. We're always like, put it down. No.
Make it stop.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us from Action Movie Anatomy. We got to do this again. And
well, that means you guys have to come on our show.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Next time we do a video game-based movie, we'll get as many of us on the show as possible.
Yeah.
So if in case the folks don't watch, which you should, let them know where they can find you and where they can find the show.
We are on the Popcorn Talk Network, the very same network. On Wednesdays, we stream live at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And personally, I'm Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. The podcast is at AMA Podcast.
You can find me at Andrew Ghai. And on Wednesday this week, we're going to be covering Drive because The Nice Guys is coming out.
Yes.
So if you like great movies with awesome soundtracks,
Drive is a hit.
So your show's for people who like good movies.
Yeah.
If you like good movies, watch the show.
It's debatable. We did
Yeah.
the Take Me Pelham one, too.
All right, fair enough.
And we're going to find you, fine folks.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Nerds Doing Stuff. Also, all across the web at Nerds Doing Stuff.
Cool.
You can find me at P to the D's personally, and I'm also a founder of a group called Project Franchise. We bought an indoor football team. We built some technology that will allow fans to run it in real time, call the plays akin to Madden, so check out projectfranchise.com, at franchise on Twitter.
Really do. It's an awesome Indiegogo campaign. The choices you can make are ridiculous. You actually do have control of a team. It's nuts. It's awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. You can find me here doing Jedi Alliance every Monday. We had a fun show today. We do it every Monday, and we do this every 2 weeks. So as we're signing off, I want to let you know that our next movie that we're doing is Angry Birds, because it is going to be coming out in theaters. Hopefully we have a good time. It looks pretty good. We're going to be covering it here in 2 weeks. So make sure you go out to the theater, support Angry Birds. We're going to be talking about it here. But until then, for everybody here, thank you for watching Video Game Movie Anatomy. Thank you for watching Popcorn Talk, and we will see you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.